I don't know where to start today's broadcast other than the fact that the United States of America is headed to hell in a handbasket if we don't start getting control of these weaponized agencies and start getting the right people in. What they are doing right now to Donald Trump is right at the center of all of it. And keep in mind, as I stated in yesterday's broadcast, they are not just after the former president of the United States of America. They're after you and I. They want to control everything that we do. They want to control what is seen online, what is said online, what is done publicly, all of it. And you and I are at the center of all of this. But right now, Alvin Bragg's Trump indictment is one of the most pathetic and partisan attacks that I have ever seen. And I've got so much information to share with you on that. But essentially what happened with his indictment is basically, it's exactly what I said it was in yesterday's broadcast. Essentially one count repeated over and over and over and over again based off of multiple signed documents, right? Trump is being accused of lying to various people, including two porn stars and a doorman. And basically Alvin Bragg is saying that they should have been classified, his payments off to these people should have been classified as campaign finance expenses as opposed to being paid under the table. Now, he is also not mentioning any crime that has been committed whatsoever. I guess eventually we'll find that out. But the case has already gone well beyond the statute of limitations. Now, we know that the reason that they are stacking these charges is so they can, make it sound nice and fluffy for those on the left. Look, Donald Trump faces 136 years in prison, even though he's never committed a crime in his life, so it's unlikely that he'll go to prison. But the 34 counts is exactly what I said it was. It's just multiple pieces of papers with his signature, and each signature ends up being a charge. It's called charge stacking, and it's completely and utterly ridiculous. But I've got so much more to share with you regarding that you're going to want to hear. But as a quick reminder, check out my sponsor, LisaHavenGold.com at Noble Gold Investments. Look, if you haven't gotten a 401k or an IRA or something with precious metals or backed by gold, silver, and precious metals, please do that now. Our economy is unstable. I can only give you so many warnings. But if you want to, just fill out this information, click get it now, and you'll get the ultimate gold and silver investment guide for free. Or even better, give them a call on the number of the screen and let them know you heard it on Lisa Haven. But make sure you are diversifying your profile in light of all these bank collapses. I don't think they are going away anytime soon. And by the way, you get this 5-ounce silver coin that you see on the screen here with any approved plan. Want more information? Click that more button or get in the description box below. All right, so let's dive into the nitty gritty of what's going on with Donald Trump. The bottom line here is this is a politically motivated attack that is issuing and implementing third world style tactics. Do you know what dictators went after their political opposition in the past? That would be Hitler, that would be Stalin, that would be Mao, and now we can add to the list Biden and his administration. These are the kind of thuggish style tactics. And again, I am livid that we don't have some Republican DAs going after some of the crimes committed by Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. But now that the standard has been set, I'm hoping that we absolutely see those. We are living in a circus. And again, this is a warning. We are not in the America we once knew. And by the way, I have a warning from Mark Levin that I'm going to share with you in this broadcast too, and it's downright chilling to the very core. But take a look at this first one here, dailymail.co.uk. The DA's damning Trump dossier in full. Ex-president is accused of falsifying business records to cover up hush money payments and kill 3 salacious stories, including one about fathering a mysterious child. Now, 3 payments are described: $130K to Stormy Daniels, $150 to another porn star, Karen McDougal, and $30,000 to a Trump Tower doorman who wanted a story to go away, claiming he had some kind of love child, which turned out not to be a true story. Now, there's a couple separate stories or things that they're going after him for. The first one is this catch and release scheme. In June 2015, Trump made a deal with AMI and its boss, David Pecker. Now, in that deal, or at the meeting, the AMI CEO agreed to help with the defendant's campaign, saying that he would act as the eyes and ears for the campaign by looking out for negative stories about the defendant and alerting the lawyer before the stories were published. So basically what they're saying with this catch and release story is basically, hey, there's negative stories about Donald Trump. We're going to pay off those negative stories because we don't want those negative stories to get out. So here's some money to shut up about that story or to give us the exclusive rights on that negative story, which, by the way, is completely 100% legal. There is no crime that's been committed. And then there's also the doorman story. And basically in this scandal, he claimed that Trump had a child out of wedlock, claimed that he could prove it through his access to the family. The story was reported in the past on Daily Mail. AMI paid him $30,000 for exclusive rights to the story. Then we also have Karen McDougal. AMI paid her $150,000, allegedly to stop her from going anywhere else with the claims, but also for 2 covers and a series of articles. AMI supposedly falsely characterized this payment according to the statement of facts. And then we have the typical Stormy Daniels story here. And I'm going through these quickly because you probably heard these a lot. Cohen was to send an invoice to Trump through the Trump Organization employees, falsely requesting payments of $35,000 for legal services rendered in a given month of 2017 pursuant to a retainer agreement. At no point did Cohen have a retainer agreement, and therein lies the problem with Trump or the Trump Organization. The charges all relate to how these payments were categorized. Bragg says he falsely labeled them as retainers for legal services, which he believes signals a Class E felony. So Q, let's charge him with 136 years in prison, a potentiality of that. But hey, let's just ignore the statute of limitations, which say you can only bring the story for so many years, and it's well past that so many years, which is the entire reason we have the statute of limitation. But Bragg is trying to say, oh, COVID years don't count. Baloney. Take a look at this other article, and I found this really good on thefederalist.com. Alvin Bragg's Trump indictment, and he is even more pathetic and partisan than we could have ever imagined. The grand jury indictment merely regurgitates the same statutory buzzwords, alleging that Trump violated 175.1 of the New York penal law. In the county of New York and elsewhere, Trump on or about a specific date with intent to defraud and intent to commit another crime and aid and conceal the commission thereof, made and caused a false entry in the business records. Yes, you heard that right. The template was then repeated in each count, specifying a different date or business record, which I specifically said in yesterday's report that these 34 felony counts are not what they seem. They're just basically redundant. Again, to repeat from yesterday, if you have multiple signatures on multiple documents and they're all for the same cause, they're just charging you per each signature. Ergo, that way, Alvin Bragg can make this a fluffy little case. And I was 100% right when I said that yesterday, and this is exactly what I thought it was. So I'm going to give myself some credit on that one. But in addition, Bragg did not say why the payments were illegal. We still don't know, or why it would be illegal for Trump to agree to the supposed scheme, because it's actually legal, right? In fact, nowhere in either the statement of facts nor the underlying indictment does Bragg identify the other crime that Trump supposedly committed. So we have no idea what the actual crime is to make it any kind of felony. And he says, I don't have to tell you right now. I'll let you know later. But again, what is also missing from this indictment is any explanation for why the charges against the former president are not barred from the governing 5-year statute of limitations. Interesting. Again, this is a complete and utter political attack. And I love the way that Mark Levin paints it on his Twitter page. And this is his warning to the American people. And I think we all need to heed that because if they're doing it to Trump, they're going to do it to us. And they already are, by the way. I put out a few reports on Restricted Republic on all of that. But take a look. And here's Mark Levin, and he published this yesterday. Mark it on your calendars. Today is the day of the real insurrection, April 4th, 2023, when the Democrat Party, for the first time in our history, used a radical Marxist DA in a Democrat city with a Democrat grand jury and a Democrat judge, manufactured a criminal case against the leading GOP candidate for the president. That is, the Democrat Party is trying to imprison the possible, if not probable, Republican opponent to the current Democrat president. And the Democrat Attorney General in New York, another Marxist, has brought a civil case. The Democrat DA in Atlanta is also poised to bring criminal charges in Georgia. So don't think it ends with New York. They're also trying to do it right now in Georgia. And he goes on, and the so-called special counsel in D.C. appointed by Biden's attorney general is running 2 grand juries with the intent of bringing a slew of federal charges. He also stated this, and he says, notice, all of this helps Biden. No attention on his dismal record and its impact on you and the country's future. The Democrat politicians in Manhattan, Atlanta, and D.C. and their media mouthpieces are all behind us. The Clintons roam free. The Bidens roam free. Pelosi roams free. Cuomo roams free. Cuomo, I like that better. Apparently, prosecutorial discretion goes one way. And he also states this: an awful lot of Republican and Trump supporters are being prosecuted and imprisoned under the Biden administration by Democrat prosecutors. Cue Ricky Vaughn. I've brought him up already. And Biden has been saying this for several years, that Trump is threatening democracy, which is a dog whistle to go after Trump. So Bragg ramped up his investigation again in January, and now this is where we are at. Amen, amen, and amen. And they're not going to stop with Donald Trump. They're going to continue with the American people, as they have done with Ricky Vaughn, as they have done with the journalist the other day that I brought up, and I'm blanking on his name. And in fact, Joe Biden thought this entire thing with Trump's indictment was funny. Take a look here. And I'm going to show you on Town Hall Twitter page. And here he was asked if the charges against Trump are politically divisive. Hear how he responds. Cut the camera, cut the camera, cut the camera. We can't have him laughing. He thinks it's funny. He thinks it's funny. America is in a very dark place, folks. And I hate to say that, but we really and truly are. We are. Mao went after his political opponents. Hitler went after his political opponents. Stalin went after his political opponents. And now Q, here in our very own United States of America, where we are having communism and progressive ideas spawn everywhere in our schools and colleges. This isn't a joke. We're not free anymore. We are living in a third world. And I put my butt on the line along with all the other journalists doing what we're doing. That's why I encourage you, please get to restrictedrepublic.com and check us out, because there is so much going on that you are not aware of. Speaking of ways to fix this, right? How about 7 actions? Because I don't want to leave us in doom and gloom. I want us to know that there are things that we can do to fix the system, right? There are things. There's actually a really good report that was put out by The Blaze that I agree with wholeheartedly, in which they said that there are 7 actions that Trump supporters can take to stop this political targeting that we're seeing today, right? Take a look. This is on theblaze.com. Horowitz, talk or action, 7 actions Trump supporters should promote to stop political targeted prosecutions. And here's what he goes on to state here. Number 1, the first thing that we need to do is fund legal defense persecuted individuals. What he's basically saying there is those on the left, right? For those who are persecuted on the left or jailed or whatever, they start financially backing them. So, for example, you had the George Floyd protesters. The Democrats started saying, hey, we're going to send money your way. Thus, we should do with those who are politically persecuted in the United States, like Ricky Vaughn, like the journalists, like, anybody that is being targeted in this particular system. We need to start putting some money behind those individuals. The second thing that we can do to protect ourselves from this political hack attack. Number two, and anyone refuse to extradite. In other words, if you are a governor, a leader, or part of a red state, do not extradite anyone for a political motivated crime on over to these blue states, as Ron DeSantis did with Donald Trump. He said, hey, I'm not going to extradite Donald Trump. You want him? You deal with it. We're not going to extradite him. Number three, slash the ABA monopoly. Connected to the previous point, it's time for state legislators to require their state judiciaries to recognize alternatives to the American Bar Association, which has unlawfully claimed a monopoly on the entire legal profession to the point where people cannot obtain legal representation over the ABA's veto. The ABA is sanctioning people like Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman for simply offering their view on constitutional questions. So we have to start pushing our legislators in our state to, require them to have alternatives to the Bar Association. Number four here, refuse cooperation with rogue federal agencies. And I agree wholeheartedly. The red states need to start some kind of joint training here and basically said, hey, the FBI is targeting these particular people for their political beliefs. Therefore, you're not allowed in our state to do fill in the blank. We're not going to let you as a state to go after these people for their political belief. And I've said that many times on my channel. Number five, prosecute the left more zealously. There is an uneven justice system right now. If they're going to go after us to the health degree, then we go after them to the health degree, just like they are doing with us. Number six, states need to pass the Political Targeting Prosecution Act. And what that basically will state is it says, hey, I'm a citizen, say, of Arizona, and we're going to pass this law in Arizona, right? For example. And I could say, well, I'm in Arizona and I feel like that I am being politically targeted. So here's my evidence for that. And here's an example of evidence, right? There's a BLM riot, and the BLM riot looked just like, a Trump rally that we had. But the BLM people are not being persecuted, but the Trump rally people are. I can show them the evidence, and the courts could be like, okay, I see, therefore, you then will have your entire case dismissed based off the mere fact of political persecution because one is being treated differently than the other. This is absolutely something that we need to start pushing, especially in our Republican states. Number seven, fair jury pools. The problem is we have a very divided country. And we're not getting fair treatment in states. For example, Donald Trump over in New York, he's not going to have a fair trial if he goes to New York, where the entire country, the entire state is like 90% or 80% Democrat. You're going to have a jury pool that's completely and utterly divided. So we have to come up with a system somehow where we have a completely even jury pool. And that's something else we have to start doing because these jury pools are being one-sided. And this is why we're getting so many conservatives, Republicans, and Christians and libertarians prosecuted in Washington, D.C. and New York because they're highly partisan courts. These are great things that we can start doing to turn things around. And that's why I wanted to share it with you in today's broadcast. Anyhow, as a quick reminder, please get to restrictedrepublic.com. Again, I started this because of everything I'm talking about today. And right now, use the coupon code Trump. You can get it for $5 per month for the entire first year. I've got exclusive video content that we're not publishing anywhere else. And we are only funded by you, the people. You want to help us out? This is absolutely how you can do it. Anyhow, I love all of you. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.